good afternoon. Welcome to Humane at Home for Wildlife Wednesday. So again, my name is Carly and I'm here with my friend Kate, and we have a really special ambassador named Qwop-i for you guys to meet today. Just a real quick reminder, everyone, Project Wildlife is a wildlife rehabilitation center, and we're a program of the San Diego Humane Society. So some of us might be out and about a lot right now. So if you guys come across any sick, injured, or orphaned wild animals, Project Wildlife is the place to bring them to. If you have any questions or concerns whether or not that animal needs your help, please go ahead and give us a phone call or go to our website, sdhumane.org, and there is a ton of information over there to kind of help you see if that animal needs to come into our center, or if maybe we can leave them out in the wild, you guys, because that's going to be the best place for them. Some animals don't always spend a lot of time with their children, unlike you guys out there right now. So it's really good to know if that animal has to come in for our care or if we can leave them out today. But we are going to go ahead and go back to Kate with Qwop-i and teach you a few facts about this guy.
Hi everybody, I hope you're having fun at home and you're enjoying Humane at Home. So, because it's Wildlife Wednesday, we have another amazing wild animal ambassador for you today. So, if you're keeping track, we have met Chuck, our western screech owl, and we have also met Pockets, our little pocket gopher. And today, we have a very, very, very special visitor with us. This is Qwop-i. He is our red-shouldered hawk animal ambassador. So, Qwop-i's story is that he actually came into Project Wildlife back in 2005, so a really, really, really long time ago. He was brought in because a Good Samaritan was walking around her neighborhood, and she discovered that Qwop-i, when he was a tiny little baby, was actually at the base of his tree with his sister. So when he was only a few days old, a woman found them on the side of the road at the base of a tree. Now, baby birds, when they have no feathers and their eyes aren't opened yet, they should absolutely still be in their nest, right? So she did the right thing. She noticed that that was wrong, and she called us to ask some questions and to see if they maybe needed to come into us. And we told her that if she could locate the nest and if she was able to, she should actually put those baby birds back up in their nest. Because isn't it kind of funny, Carly, do you know when people see baby birds on the ground, they think, oh, if I touch that baby bird, mom will smell it. They'll smell my scent on that baby bird and they'll reject them. But is that true, Carly?
Oh, Miss Kate, it is such a common thing for people to think, but guess what, my friends? Birds have a really poor sense of smell. And if you touch that baby, the mom cannot tell whether or not you touched it. And please go ahead and put it back up in that nest unless you see an obvious wound, maybe a wing break or something's going on. Maybe you see blood, but we obviously want to go ahead and put that baby right back up in that nest. And don't worry if you touched it, my friends, because that mama will take it back.
Yes, of course. So when that woman called us and told us what happened, we told her, if you can find that nest, go ahead and put those babies back up there. And that's exactly what she did. So then the next day she came back, and guess what? Qwop-i and his little sister were right back on the ground at the base of that tree. So she called us again, and we thought, that seems pretty weird. So we told her to actually bring those babies into us. We had them in for our care for a few days. Our vets did a full medical assessment to see if they had any obvious injuries, any signs of trauma. There didn't seem to be anything wrong with these babies until a few days in, we realized that both Qwop-i here and his sister are both blind in their right eyes. So you guys will notice when I move my hand over here on this side of his head, he doesn't respond at all. The second I move my hand over here, he says, oh, I see that. And I don't really like that because that seems like a really scary thing. So he can only see out of the left eye. So that because, oh, and you can see, he's thinking, why are you moving your hand around so much? I'm a big, scary boy. So because both of them were only sighted in one eye, we decided that they could not be released back out into the wild because a hawk with only one eye, as you can imagine, would not be able to survive very well. They wouldn't be able to hunt or even fly very well, and definitely not be able to defend themselves from other predators. So because they could not be released, we actually started working with him from a very, very young age so that he could become an education ambassador, and he could go all over San Diego, just like our other ambassadors, and help us teach people about Project Wildlife, about red-shouldered hawks, and about coexisting with all the amazing wild animals that we have here in San Diego. So his sister actually became an ambassador as well. She went down to another organization called Living Coast, and they're both doing amazing things for their wild animal cousins. So we are going to be talking a little bit more about red-shouldered hawks, and Qwop-i here is going to keep poofing and unpoofing as he's reminding us, I am a big scary boy. So Carly, where do you think we can find red-shouldered hawks? Are they all over San Diego?
So these guys are actually pretty common, but one thing that people really tend to kind of consider them, they think that they're seeing a red-tailed hawk when they're out on the lampposts and the big street lights. So those guys are the red-tailed hawks. Red-shouldered hawks like to be a little bit more hidden. These guys like to be a little bit more in forested areas where there's some more trees, to where these guys can kind of perch up in a tree and see if there's anything yummy running down, scurrying on the ground, or maybe flying around. Now there's a big difference between the two. Red-tailed hawks are way bigger than red-shouldered hawks. And so this guy right here, so he's a male. If it was a red-tailed hawk, a female red-tailed hawk, Kate, can you kind of put your hand over Qwop-i's head? That's kind of about right where a red-tailed hawk would be. So there's a considerable size difference between the two. And then Miss Kate, can you turn him around and show his back end?
Absolutely.
Qwop-i does not have a red tail. So that's another big difference between the two. So red-shouldered hawks, they have that really nice banding along that tail, and he has a nice brick color chest. A red-tailed hawk has a red tail and a white color chest. So if you're not confused yet, then always go ahead and go to use your bird books, or even go ahead and the internet can kind of help you out as well. But these guys are super special, and we're really lucky to have red-shouldered hawks because they're not found all over the United States. If you look down, you can kind of see this map. California, just along the west coast, down into Baja. They're even kind of noticing some red-shouldered hawks up into Oregon as well. But the majority of red-shouldered hawks are on the East Coast. So we're super lucky here in San Diego that we have these guys here. And these guys are doing great things for our ecosystem. So red-shouldered hawks have a very varied diet. So these guys will go after small mammals. Sometimes they'll go after smaller birds. These guys will even go after things that are in the water. Sometimes crayfish are one of their favorites as well. So these guys are going to go ahead and eat a lot of different variable things in their diet. And these guys are super helpful. Other things that these guys can do is that, well, not that they can do, but it's mating season. So Kate, do you want to tell a little bit about how these guys get a girlfriend and how long they stay together for?
Yes. So when red-shouldered hawks actually begin to mate, and typically it's when they're around 2 years old, is when they start looking for that girlfriend, or really that wife, because these birds are amazing and they're actually monogamous, meaning they find one partner and they stay together for life. So they will always stay around the same territory to find each other year after year. And they do a really cool sky dance when the boys and the girls are trying to flirt with each other. So they'll maybe fly really, really high up into the air, dive bomb down, do lots and lots of swirls that might even interlock their talons. And it's all this really, really cool mating session where they're trying to impress each other so that they can make more little baby red-shouldered hawks. So typically they'll have one clutch, or I guess if you're thinking maybe about dogs and cats, it's like a litter. But for birds, it's called a clutch, and they'll typically have one clutch per year. The average is around 2 to 3 eggs per clutch, and moms will lay them actually at different times. So she might lay one day, and then maybe the next day or a few days later, she might lay the next one, and so on and so forth. And then they actually hatch in the order that she lays them. So there's always going to be that bigger brother or bigger sister who is maybe a little bit larger than the other siblings, and they will be fighting the other ones for food. But mom and dad are very, very good about co-parenting, and they are both very good about making sure that every single baby gets plenty of food so that they're growing nice and healthy and strong. But Qwop-i here, of course, has been with us for a really, really, really long time. So we're very fortunate to have him. So you guys are seeing some of the pictures of some of the different ages of red-shouldered hawks. So Carly, which ones have they seen?
So one of these things as well, my friend, so that was the nice little picture of the baby being fed by the mom, is the nest placement of where they're going to put their nest. So it's going to be pretty much in the crook of a tree. Again, red-shouldered hawks like to be in more forested areas where there's more big trees around because they don't really want to be seen. They tend to be a little bit more, they're called a noisy raptor. So you can usually hear a red-shouldered hawk before you see them. So if you're kind of used to that, caw, caw, me again with making the bird noises.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Round of applause for Carly.
But that's going to be, you can usually hear them before you see them. So most people will hear the red-shouldered hawk and then maybe hopefully run outside and hopefully you can get a glimpse of them. But right now, if you go outside, you might be able to hear them because again, it's mating season. They're not quiet so that you can hear that really distinct call that they're making out to make sure that they're getting that mate. And like what Miss Kate was saying is that these guys mate for life. There's actually one super cool fact is that 2 breeding pairs and their offspring, so it means their kids, return to the same nest for 40 years. So my friends, these guys are really special. Now, one super amazing special thing today, my friends, it's someone's birthday today. So we are so lucky that we have this bird. Qwop-i is actually a really special bird. He has a really special name as well. So when he was being rehabilitated and raised, we actually noticed that he was very regal and had a very chief-like demeanor about him. So Qwop-i is a Qwop-i word for chief. So he was very vocal as a baby at telling the caregivers at what to do. And then now you can kind of see his stature. And so he really kind of commands that presence. He deserves it. And so today is actually his 15th birthday. So Qwop-i came into us on April 1st of 2005. Or was that when he came into us, or is that when he was hatched?
Right around April 1st.
Yeah, because if he was just a few days old and he came in really quickly. So his sister, we don't actually know his sister's name because once she went down to the Living Coast Discovery Center, they kind of took over ownership of her. And I don't know the name of his sister at the moment.
No, I believe, but she's still working hard, just like Qwop-i is here.
So one other thing, my friends, is that Qwop-i he's a pretty big star here in San Diego. He is the centerfold of our Pets magazine that came out last year during this time. So if you are lucky enough to have one of these magazines, you are going to have this guy front and center. He is a magazine star. This guy goes on TV, onto the news segments as well. And then, unfortunately, a lot of the programs that we do out in the public are all halted for this time. So we still wanted to give you that time to interact with him and learn about him. Since we can't come to you guys can come to us virtually today. Now, do we have any questions from our audience today about Qwop-i? Hopefully, again, Kate and I will be able to answer them, but you guys are really good at stumping us from time to time.
So the main question was about his sister's name, and then someone also informed us that his name can mean chief or leader.
Oh, so his name can mean chief or leader. So
either way, he's in charge. Yes.
Both of those guys, he calls the shot. So don't tell my other ambassadors, but Qwop-i is one of my favorite birds that we have under our Project Wildlife permits. He has such a personality, my friends. A lot of people tend to think that the mammals are super fun and really cool to be around, but birds are so personable. If you watch them, these guys, super, super big personalities, and Qwop-i definitely has that for sure. So Qwop-i will definitely give his trainers a nice side eye if he doesn't appreciate with what's happening. He'll let us know when things that he doesn't like come around. So Qwop-i is not a big fan of dogs. He doesn't really like when it's too windy out, and he definitely doesn't like horses. So those were a few things that we found out when we were out doing programs. But he is such a great bird, and we are just so lucky that we have this guy for our education program.
So lots of questions have come in. So they want to know the average lifespan
Oh, great. So the average lifespan of a red-shouldered hawk, so again, with most birds, if they are lucky enough to survive that first year of life, red-shouldered hawks can get to about 10 to 15 years old. I believe the oldest known red-shouldered hawk out in the wild actually lived to be 19 years old. Qwop-i is obviously going to get a little bit older than that because this guy gets breakfast in bed. He has a daily maid service. He has a wonderful health care program. And whenever he's ready to be retired, he's got that ready for him as well.
Is Qwop-i a falcon?
Is Qwop-i a falcon? So that's a great question. Qwop-i is a hawk. So there is a difference between hawks and falcons. I usually like to say hawks are built for strength and falcons are built for speed. So falcons can be a little bit more slenderized, where the hawks are called bootios. They're soaring birds. So these guys are going to be out and about. You can kind of see their big wingspan with their big tails. Hawks or falcons have a little bit of a more shorter and tighter tail because it's going to help them make really fast turns and maneuvers up there. But that is a great question.
Is it hard to tell a red shoulder from a Cooper's hawk?
Is it hard to tell a red shoulder from a Cooper's hawk? Yes.
Yes.
A Cooper's hawk, a red-tailed hawk, and a red-shouldered hawk. Have fun trying to identify those when they're babies, juveniles, and adults. Cooper's hawks tend to be kind of like, I want to say, the blend of a red-shouldered hawk and a red-tailed hawk. Cooper's hawks have banded tails, which red-tailed hawks do not, but Cooper's hawks have a white chest.
Oh, I
so
know. Oh, I know.
there he goes and shows you that wingspan. Does anyone want to know the wingspan of a red-shouldered hawk? I'm sure that's going to be another question. These guys can tend to get to be about wingspan about 3 feet and 2 inches to like maybe 3 feet 6 inches. So about 3 feet is a good wingspan. Males, their weight, males tend to be a little bit closer to 1 pound, and the females are a little bit closer to like 1.5, 2 pounds. So although he may look really big, it's all feathers. So sometimes even like a nice big jug of water is going to weigh more than Qwop-i does.
Okay, I do have a length question, sorry. How long are his talons?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say probably about 2 inches, maybe 2.5.
They're usually around, yeah, it's usually
So
around.
we're looking at his, so the question was, how long are his talons?
So just the talons themselves, his are about 1 inch. Sometimes they get to be a little bit longer than that. But yeah, it varies based on the bird. So of course, those bigger birds, if you guys have ever seen a great horned owl, they have much longer and bigger talons, but his are typically going to be around 1 inch long.
And guys, believe it or not, he does get spa days. So he does get nail trims and talon trims and beak trims. Birds out in the wild are actually really good at keeping their nails and their beak at a good length. But sometimes we need to help him out because he just doesn't have as many trees to go ahead and be around like some of his wild counterparts. So we kind of help him out a little bit. And we can actually train those behaviors, you guys, so that we can make sure that he's comfortable with us touching his feet, touching his beak, pulling out his wings. We always want to make sure that when we're around Qwop-i, that it's always a positive experience. So we want to make sure that we're training these guys. And again, my friends, we have permits that allow us to have Qwop-i. Some of us might be thinking it might be super cool to have a hawk or a falcon as a pet. Definitely does not, my friends. So like we said, Qwop-i calls the shots. He's a very sassy bird. He doesn't necessarily do anything that we want him to do. He accepts us. He understands that we've worked with him, we've built a relationship with him, and it really goes back and forth. So if Qwop-i is ever uncomfortable in a situation, or let's just say he's getting older and he maybe not want to go out to do programs, he absolutely can be retired. We'll put him away for some time if he's out at a program and just showing some signs of uncomfortability. We always want to make sure that the animals have, the animals are our main focus and that they're happy and thriving at the same time.
We'll do one more question. What is their favorite food, or maybe his favorite?
What is their favorite food? So smaller mammals are usually the big food, but red-shouldered hawks surprisingly really like crayfish. So some of those are a little bit of invasive species here in San Diego, so it's really good to have red-shouldered hawks. They love to be around that water source. Qwop-i in particular, He's a very special bird, my friends. Let me tell you a fun story about him. Qwop-i grew up eating only black mice. So when we tried to introduce white mice into his diet, he did not want to have anything to do with it. So we typically kind of had to train him on how to eat the white mice. But so now he prefers his white mice over his black mice. Everything we feed our ambassadors, though, my friends, are de-thawed. They have been frozen, and we don't feed Qwop-i anything that's alive. It wouldn't be very humane for the animal or for Qwop-i, so we always want to make sure that he can find his food and that he's eating properly every day. So he does get weekly weights. We always monitor the intake of these guys. Like I said, they also have the ability to come in and see our vet once a year, so we always want to make sure that these guys are really healthy.
And like Miss Carly just mentioned, if you're listening closely, she said that they prefer being in environments with lots and lots of water. So they prefer what we call riparian environments, meaning there's some sort of water source like a river, stream, lake, you name it. That's kind of the area that they like because they actually really enjoy water. So one last fun fact about Qwop-i, he loves getting his baths or his showers. So in his big giant enclosure that he lives in, he has a really tall perch that he will sit up on. And when it's a special day like today, because it's his birthday, or if it's particularly hot and we want to make sure he's cooled down, we will actually take a hose and make a little shower for him, and you guys should see it. He sits up on that perch and he just opens up his wings all nice and big, and he just lets that water go all over him because he loves the feeling of water. So when I go and drop him off at his house today, I'm definitely going to give him a bath because it's his birthday, friends, and he should get whatever he wants. So if you loved meeting Qwop-i and you want to make your own little, oh, I'm sorry, I know, I moved my hand too fast. He's telling me that. So if you want to make your own little Qwop-i at home or your own little hawk, we have this really cool craft that you can make with all things that you have at home. So you can see this is just made out of cut up paper plates. If you are fancy and you have a little craft bin, you might have some googly eyes that you can put on there, and then you just add a little beak, and you can color this to look like whatever hawk you'd like. So of course here you'll notice the cute little red shoulders. This here's a little red-shouldered hawk, but you can look up whatever hawk species that we have here in San Diego. We have so many, and you can color your own hawk at home to participate and see all the different wild animals that we have here in San Diego. So was that it for questions?
We just had one last question. It was about how often does Qwop-i eat? And so he gets fed once a day. Whether or not he eats right when he gets his food, that's his preference. So he has it offered to him all day. We'll usually go and pick it up at night just so that the ants don't get to it because he'll be sleeping at that time, so it won't be a bother. But he definitely knows when his food is coming, and he definitely doesn't wait too long to eat his food. But we are going to talk about what's coming on Friday with our next Humane at Home.
Yes, so if you all are interested, you should definitely come back on Friday. We are going to have our other Humane at Home episode that is going to focus on our small pets. So we're going to be playing a really fun game that focuses on our bunnies, our guinea pigs, our fancy rats, and our hamsters. So we're going to be playing a really fun game where you can learn all about our cute little pocket pets, and we're even going to have some pocket pets that you guys can enjoy. So definitely come back on Friday. It's going to be a ton of fun.
There's a big reason why we don't have Qwop-i and the pocket pets out together. Someone would get a little bit too excited, probably.
Oh, and there we go. So before we sign off, because it is his birthday and it's so special, and how often do you turn 15 when you're a cute little red-shouldered hawk, we are going to sing Qwop-i happy birthday. So I would like everybody who's watching to participate and to sing along with us because it is such a special day for him. So ready?
Right.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Qwop-i. Happy birthday to you.
Thanks for joining us today, my friends.
Thank you.